Hello and welcome to the CRO podcast with your hosts, myself, Courtney, and Will.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. We manage the CRO network and run the CRO agency.
Yes. Okay, a bit about the podcast. Every week we kind of answer questions, common questions about CRO. We have network members on the podcast. We show off latest in CRO advances. And this week, actually what we're doing is we're going to dive into another sort of CRO adjacent area. And this is specifically on how to improve lead quality. This is kind of part of like a bit of a mammoth 4-part series, really covering this topic of lead quality. We want it to be in depth, we want it to be actionable, and that's why we want to sort of make it worthwhile. So that's why we're doing it across like lots of episodes. And this does actually come from network members, which is really, really exciting. So we're really happy to kind of deep dive and make sure it's worthwhile. So this
Yeah.
is part one. And this is a high level introduction and sort of like the hammers to use in an emergency. So the topics
Those.
that we will be looking at. Oh, please, sorry.
Mhm. No, yeah, just the hammers are break glass in a case of emergency, but don't necessarily rely on them. But they are good.
Yes, a good caveat for sure. Very, very smart. Like, um, yeah. So like the topics that we talk about, what do we mean by improving lead quality? What are the 3 major approaches to this? We have sort of like a scenario set up with a client, sort of an in-house or third party who's been buying leads from us, but seeing issues with the lead quality. What can you then do? And form-driven sort of quick fixes slash like the hammers. So this is going to be very exciting. And are you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it. We do love. Well, yeah, we love all things lead gen, so it's quite fun diving into this one.
Definitely. Definitely. So I think we'll start with what do we what do we mean by improving lead quality?
Um, yeah, so slightly just to introduce this a little bit, like lead quality just refers to how well leads perform for yourself or your client. This is usually measured. There's a few different ways you can measure it. The most like bottom of the funnel metric is sale rate, so or closed won rate. So what percentage of the leads actually become sales? The much more actionable metric here is the opportunity rate. So what percentage of leads actually become opportunities? That's traditionally thought of as basically like the point at which marketing can really influence. Beyond that, it can be a lot harder to influence. And it's really at that point, it's kind of handed over to sales. There's also some very good reasons, which we'll get into much later in the series, as to why opportunity rate really is your friend and sale rate. Sale rate really, really isn't. And trying to, so for very practical reasons, you want to be using opportunity rate. Um, and so that's what we mean by like lead quality. And what we actually mean by like improving lead quality, we mean this within like very tight bounds. So what we're not trying to do is like, generate leads for hundreds of pounds that are really, really good. What we're trying to talk about here is, how to improve lead quality without absolutely tanking your cost per lead and your lead volume. Like we work in a realistic world where, it's not good enough just to produce good quality leads. It's not good enough just to produce really cheap leads. It's not good enough to produce just loads of leads. Like you need the right balance. And
Mm-hmm.
there's traditionally thought of as like this triangle, like this a little bit
The triangle of sadness.
great movie.
So good. So
So good.
good. Mm.
Yeah, there's basically a triangle. It's quite a core concept that I mean, I have fully credit to MBF. I'm sorry, this is fully taking their IP here, but it's called the Ops Triangle. You can have 3, so you can have 2 out of the 3. You can have cost per lead, you can have lead volume, or you can have lead quality. What this basically means, if trying to have all 3 at once, it's really, really hard to do. Instead, you kind of need to prioritize in some way, because obviously, you can generate really expensive, really low volume, high quality leads. That's a whole different type of marketing, that you can absolutely do. Whereas lead gen usually is balancing cost per lead, lead volume, and then like reasonable lead quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just think
Yeah.
of it that way. When we're trying to improve this lead quality, we ultimately want to improve it in a way that is actionable and meaningful and allows you to run a business behind it. So we're not going to be talking about insane tactics such as ripping out everything. Yeah, it,
Knockdown rebuild, just off the bat.
knockdown rebuild. I mean,
Knockdown
occasionally
rebuild.
you got to, but
Yeah,
it's,
woo, that's a big one. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think, like, this is gonna sound really layman, and I mean, potentially it is, and I think everyone should really be aware of it, but I was in a situation at somewhere that I worked where there wasn't quite an in-depth understanding of what actually a quality lead is. So, that idea of lead quality was, there was quite a big discrepancy, and, it actually caused huge, huge problems, within the company just with lead generation. Like, I mean, this was just in-house with lead generation, obviously a little bit different. But yeah, sort of, the sales, just everything. The whole
yeah.
everything that is connected to that, yeah, it was not great. So, I mean, it seems simple, and it is simple. It is a simple concept. Yeah, no.
Yeah, there's a
Well,
huge amount of depth to it because it's really hard. Because like, when you're talking about like particularly larger deals, like what's worth it, like,
yeah.
for some
Yeah, yeah.
deals you want to spend tens of thousands of pounds to acquire. Some deals are worth like £100 to acquire,
Yeah.
and you have to strike realistic balances. And it's honestly, it's one of the biggest challenges for particularly, yeah, particularly SaaS and B2B businesses. Thankfully, within lead
Yeah.
gen, we at least have one thing that kind of guides this, which is, we sell, generally speaking, you sell, leads at a set price or at a tiered price. So like that
Yeah.
kind of dictates, and like from that you can work back. Like you at that point, like you have very clear, um, targets you need to work around, and it actually creates like the final metric, which is really the core metric you want to use in all cases when you optimize around lead quality here, which is cost per opportunity. So that's literally just the cost per lead divided by the opportunity rate. You can also use cost per sale, but again, for very good reasons, I really would avoid relying on that one unless your sale rate is like really high. And it's just not often the case. So you're nearly always better using opportunity rate. And the reason we say this is because cost per opportunity is basically a blend of cost and your lead quality amount. Because when you're trying to influence lead quality, it is highly tied to your cost. So, in this case, if you've got a client, they're buying these at a certain price, that's because they need a certain cost per opportunity to make this work. They need to book a
Mhm.
certain number of appointments from, 100 leads. And that's what, you're ultimately working around. So when we really, really, really boil it down, we care about cost per opportunity.
Yeah. Love it. Well, then, that moves us on to the next one, which is like the three major approaches. So I think we can, I mean, if we just start kind of, I'd say, with like marketing driven, and
Yeah.
then we can kind of work our way from there, I would say. So yeah, just sort of marketing driven, like changing the inputs. If you wanna get us rolling, let's go.
Yeah. So, yeah, three major approaches. The first one is one that everyone kind of thinks about, to be honest, and is by far the most risky, which is marketing driven. Changes the input, changing the inputs. It's like the one that stands out to most people, and from like the outside, but or like from a more human friendly perspective, it totally makes the most sense to people. Essentially, you change like the ads, you change the angles, you change the messaging, and that can then obviously directly influence all your metrics. Like if you think about a funnel, you're changing everything you're putting in. Then you go into like the second major approach, which is basically the form driven approach, which is changing the transformation. So again, you got your funnel, then you're putting them through this box, which is your form, which is then transforming them into leads. These can be better or worse quality depending on what you do on your form. So that's the transformation process. Um, and then you have the third major approach, which is the process driven, which is the optimization process. So based on this learning and like the outcomes of your leads that you've put out, and what is driving lead quality, what is not, and so it's basically building that virtuous cycle and how to build a good virtuous cycle. Um, yeah, there is obviously a whole sales process backed into this, which we won't touch on too much. We will a little bit here and there. In fact, we'll touch a little bit more on it in this topic. But this is really more about the controllables that you have as an agency owner, as a lead gen provider, or as a company. Like these are the things that your marketing team can in fact action. Um, yeah, I
I
I
mean, on
think
the ad
just a
side, being able
Hmm.
to do like, but I suppose like I mean, everything. This is sort of like everything is connected. Anyway, it's
Yes.
we're talking about an ecosystem here. So it's changing one thing, you sort of like there are going to be ripple down effects for all of the other things. It's like when Homer Simpson goes back in time and like steps on that bug.
Great
Uh,
episode.
great episode, classic
Another great
Simpsons.
episode. So good. I think my favorite
So
all-time Treehouse of Horror episode.
so good. Um, what we actually saw recently, what I'd love to see is things like localization, and even just something as simple as that is just being able to get
Mm,
those ads out there with kind of like localization with those different keywords, and then to kind of anchor that into the form. So we do have that form
mm.
change, but it is connected. We have the dynamic headline, and there already you're you're really working towards getting that kind of lead quality, to where you kind of want to have it. I think I would say.
No, no, that that's the core thing. Like, obviously, you have to break it up to try to make sense of this, to understand your levers and like all those things. But at the end of the day, an effective lead generation process is a combination of like for your marketing and your sales. Your marketing, starts your ads, it goes to your form, and then it goes into your sales process. The more connected and
Hmm.
unified you can make this process, the better. And again, it's why we will every time, like I think every podcast episode, we're probably going to mention dynamic headlines and
Yeah.
dynamic landing pages because it makes the link much better, which improves your
So
conversion rate.
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
There
improves your
is
lead
nothing
quality.
like
Yeah.
yes, you
And
know,
it tells your sales team what was told to this ad, to this lead.
there's
What were they
just
sold on?
yes.
So like just please, please be for the love of God. We will
I
talk
mean,
more about this and
yeah.
go for it.
Yeah. No, no, for sure, we definitely will, but it's one of those things, it's like, I am just sitting here like a what is it? A girl in front of a boy asking her to love him or whatever it is. We're
Asking
just
him
like, we're
to
just two
set up
CRO
dynamic
agency
headlines.
members. Yeah, yeah. Just asking the wider community of lead generation to please use dynamic headlines and be so creative with ads as well, but also like that's part of it. You know what I mean? Like marketing, come on, who really understand who is your ICP? Who are you speaking to? Who are you talking to? Stop trying to speak to everyone all at once and start having
Mm,
kind of that more sort of, really personalized communication because that's what's going to really get people. And then just make sure that all of that sort of like process on the back of that is streamlined.
done. It's you know, we often talk about like your CRO is swimming with flippers and makes it much easier. I think dynamic headlines, we coined this, well, not quite coined this, but it's giving a tiger wings. Your marketing team are amazing. If you give them the ability to define the headliners and the content on the landing page dynamically so they can do this at scale rapidly and iterate, wow.
Mm.
Like, I mean, the results you'll
Hmm.
see, you'll find wins that
What?
no one else is finding. Like, and they're really
Yeah,
hard to, because you can just test really widely and see what happens. And on the sales side, you've already, it all links together so well.
it
Yeah, just
does. And I
give
think
your team wings. Red Bull.
give your team wings. Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, whoops, we're Icarus now. We're
Copyright.
flying too close to the sun. But on top of that, I think sales having conversations back to marketing. I know sales and marketing. It's always been a little bit of a sort of like an Australia New Zealand. We love to hate each other type
Yeah.
situation. Well, we don't hate each other, but there's a
Speaking as
there's a
an
bit of a
Australian, what you would
yeah,
say,
yeah. Speaking as an Australian for all of Australia, no, but what there is sales actually speak to people. They're the ones talking to the customers, and they like quite often. I used to have conversations with them. What did you Google? How did you find us? What was the terminology that you were using? And being able to collect that, feed that back into marketing. Marketing then can use that to
mm,
test things, and again, make sure that entire process is, working, it's connected, that's going to be so, so valuable. And then salespeople already have the experience in closing that sale, using that language, understanding what that user needs so they can just, rinse and repeat.
understand. Like, so a bit of a spoiler here, to be honest. So yeah, marketing driven is the most risky, probably the highest impact out of, well, it's, yeah, to be fair, creative dictates so much of performance. So like, it is really important, but it's also really risky and like, you've got to be quite careful with it. So if you've got something that's working, the prospect of ripping apart all your ads and all your things, like, you're going to destroy your lead quality, destroy your lead volume. You may not improve your lead quality, and your
Mhm.
sales process that was hopefully previously aligned is now going to be like, what the hell's going on? All these leads are different, and so your lead quality is probably going to be hemorrhaged. So, like,
Mhm.
spoiler, marketing driven. There are ways to approach it in smart, iterative manners that we will go into in very in depth. But like, the hammers should not be applied on the marketing side. Like, do not apply hammers to marketing side. Like, keep marketing. It's really hard to find leads at scale at a reasonable price. If they're like, oh, lead quality is not good enough, right? Well, that's where the second things come in. And that's how you do it in a sustainable manner. This is literally like, this is how you run a world class lead gen. Like, this is, everyone else has changed your marketing, be better, be smarter. So then, yeah, the form driven stuff, change that
Yeah.
transformation part. There are some hammers you can apply there that do not destroy your marketing, but have immediate and quick impacts on your lead quality. So they are emergency things to pull. There are much more granular and better things to do, but like hammers exist for, every
They
bus
are
you're ever
there
going
for
to
a
be on
reason.
has, yeah, they are there for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah, break glass in the
100%.
case of emergency. So we'll go into those in a minute. And
Mhm.
then finally, and really, this is actually the most, and that's if it's not clear already, the most valuable approach is that process driven. That is how you make
Mhm.
this valuable long term. It's first off, like as we really touched on, it's like that alignment part, but also it's just that continuous optimization process. Once you've kind of set this going, it's a flywheel that you generate so much insight and powerful approaches that are so hard to copy because they are hidden.
Mhm.
This is your comparative advantage, the way you set up your optimization process, your link between sales and marketing. I mean, that's, yeah. So basically, yeah, that is the golden goose, and it's the one you should be taking the most seriously. But ironically, nearly always gets the least focus because it's the most hidden. So yeah,
Yeah, and
we
I
will
think
go into it.
also there is a
Mhm.
lot of that kind of idea of, okay, well, we've got the lead and it's done.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and it just that needs to be removed from everybody's psyche because it's just not true. It's only done when it's done. Do you know what I mean? And we're all in it together. We're all working towards the same goal, and we need to sort of be able to enable everyone in the whole chain of command to be able to do what they need to do, just to make it
Mm,
easier.
yeah,
Really.
100%, 100%.
Well,
Um,
if we then, oh yeah, no, please.
no, I was gonna say, shall we do the scenario?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just
I
about to
let
say, well, if
great minds.
great minds,
Specifically planned it.
great minds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
okay, so if we have a scenario. By the way, I do apologize. I have hurt my leg, so I have a balance board. So that's why I'm sort of moving around the whole time because I'm
I thought you were
balancing on a
just
balance
so,
board.
visibly
It's my
moved by
physio.
lead generation.
Well, that too, that too. Oh, okay. The scenario, we have a client, in-house or third party, who has been buying leads from us but is seeing issues with lead quality. What do you do?
Yeah. So I think this is probably the most like applicable scenario and like the most wide reach. And it's like the standard one that most people have. Like, you've got a vertical, it's working, you're an issue with lead quality, what do we do? Why do we do it? Yada yada. Um, So, and we say like in-house or third party because like in say this client, in the market, we mainly work with agencies, so they're usually third party clients. But it could be, your client could also be basically your sales team, and like they're now like lead quality's gone really badly. What's happening? So, there's a few things to do because if it wasn't clear when we're going through the three major approaches, all of them, except from the process one, which we love, and this first points are kind of process driven. These are disruptive and damaging. As a lead gen, you have one core responsibility, and it's the single most important responsibility. If you want to keep your clients on, I guarantee you this: maintain lead volume. Like lead volume, like if someone expects to see 50 leads a day, and because you're doing all this stuff, like you drop down, that can be really, really hard because they need to feel that that's someone who's sitting there, that's someone who's looking like they're not working because of this. Um,
Mhm,
if you're going to change your lead volume, you have to immediately tell your client, like, this was going to happen. You have to be really clear. It is really hard to forecast how your lead volume is going to change and affect when you're making big changes. So just, you know, you can do it for a couple of weeks maybe, but just be really, so first off, communicate loads and wherever possible, protect that lead volume.
mhm,
But so what do we do in this scenario? First off, we validate it. This is unfortunately a really important part because many things are seemingly happening that are not
mm,
happening.
mhm,
There are lots of things that could be affecting lead quality that are nothing to do with marketing and the inputs and the process. The reason, like, obviously, you want to take their feedback seriously, and all, it's very important.
Mhm.
But I've seen many times when, like, lead quality has been, raised as an issue, and it is not lead quality. And the problem is, if you start ripping apart things based off
Mhm.
poor insight, and we'll talk about what poor insight looks like. And not
Mhm.
like it's not like malicious. This is not a malicious thing. It's just like we are fallible
Yeah.
creatures.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you start going on a goose hunt, and you can spend months and of high effort. You can destroy really valuable previously working funnels, and believe they're no longer working. And basically, you've kind of screwed. You went from somewhere which was successful and had real meaningful opportunity, and now, like, you're never going to get back there. Um, then and like, very really quickly, so poor insight, is it qualitative? First off, validate it means using data. This is part of the process driven thing. We'll talk about this, but, like, get 100% of the leads, all the leads. I don't mean like, oh, here are 80 of the leads you sent us in the last 7 days that the bat nut. Get all the leads. You want to track back, more than that. If they're not sending you more, if they're like missing, when we mean all the leads, we mean greater than 98%, ideally. Like, the minimum is 95%. If they can't find, more, 95% of the leads you sent, this, I'd be very, very, very cautious of the inputs at this, because it means they don't know how well these leads are doing.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
currently, until they validate that, we cannot start taking these, meaningful actions.
Mhm.
So it's something called match rate. It's really important. You need to validate it. You need to look at this data. Okay, step one, we've got all the leads. Great. Step two, are we seeing an actual drop in opportunity rate? Often we are not, because
Mhm.
statistics has fun with us. Because
Oh, statistics, how I love you.
averages move. There are large error bars on these goddamn things that
Yeah.
like to mock us. And so,
Mm.
like, if something's happening, like, it needs to be robust, and this is actually happening, not just like, we've had a bad week. What's happening? Oh, this is really bad. Like, no, like, I know that it probably has happened. It's been a bad week. Like, is that actually, is this something that needs to be actioned, or is this just statistics? Because do we have a really good week before? And, like, what does that graph week on week quality look like? You know, is that what you're looking for when you're validating is, like, here's a point in time. From then on, things trend downwards. And we'll go into, like, how you do all of this, and, this analysis um, later on. But first off, yeah, step one is you have to validate it. There's a real now, everyone wants to move with urgency in these situations, and it's important. Um, when you move with urgency in a lot of ways, but the urgent actions are, first off, we need that data. You need to communicate that urgently and succinctly and clearly. They can't get that data. They do not know that lead quality has gone down. Um, but yeah, so yeah, move urgency, but, like, so that's how you can move with urgency while also taking the time to validate this. And it's also, part of, like, I'm sure, you've worked in, account management in the past. Like, a lot of the time, like, you know, you have to push back on the clients. So, like, actually, we need to make sure this is happening before we take action. So, like, we've taken on board,
Yeah.
we've got your note. Thank you. We will, we're going to look into this. We can't immediately do this.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Um,
there is a bit of a culture generally, I think, of just, like, a lot of, yeah, just not yeah, just generally not maybe, looking at the data in the depth and breadth sort of that they need to really
yeah,
understand what's going on. There's a lot of
it's
times it's kind of like feelings, which are valid. I think, if you do feel like that, if things are happening, but really, like, to actually understand it and to take action,
mm,
data is just gonna you have to. There's just no two ways
yeah.
about it. You're just gonna have to.
Yeah, like, if you got, qualitative data is great. People that are talking to the leads, really, it really, really does matter. And, like, but that
Yeah.
triggers an investigation. It doesn't,
Yeah.
that doesn't trigger the action.
Yeah.
That triggers the investigation. We want to um, find the culprit, not assume a culprit. Cool. There's some other key, yes. Anyway,
Innocent until proven guilty.
exactly. Marketing is innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for that one, because, yeah, once you're making these big changes, and, if you're far, we're talking about some of the hammers, and they are
Mm.
destructive. They are
Yeah.
beneficial, but they are also destructive. So, there's very good reason why we do it this way. Some other core KPIs to mention here. is it the sales process? So first thing you got to look at.
Yeah.
It's not because again, it's not saying like the sales process is bad, but has it been weaker more recently? And this is often
Yeah,
this is not
100%.
this.
Speed to lead's gonna be huge. What about the follow-ups? There are so many bits and pieces that can be leaked. What kind of, like, touch points are we having? Are we even getting kind of those, what is it, 7, 8 touch points that you need to get?
In the first week. Yeah, I mean, maybe what. Yeah, I'll
Sorry, just
pick up
dying.
there. Don't worry. um, That yeah, but and again, there are it's not we're not saying it's sales' fault or contact's fault because what often is happening in the lead gen side, and this is a very very regular culprit.
Yeah.
Um, particularly
And it
so
can
it's
happen though. It can happen.
yeah
Things
no
things happen. People are out. People got to take on more
yeah
like
someone's been out
leads.
sick.
They
I
can't
think
get to it.
we've
Yeah,
had new
holiday
hires.
time. Yeah,
It's just different.
training,
So when you're looking
new
at that data,
systems.
yeah
Sorry.
yeah
I could go
no
on.
so many reasons. Well, this is why improving lead quality is so difficult because so many things can impact it. So you have to be thorough. That's why I've been doing
Yeah.
a 4-part series because there's a lot to talk through here. Um,
Yeah.
but one common thing here as well, when it's not sales' fault, but it is sales process, is because leads are generated outside of business hours or are sent in
Mm,
bulk or are sent in ways in which cannot be handled well.
yeah.
It is just as much as like the lead gen agencies, their that part of their job and part of our, everyone's job is to make sure those leads can be worked in an effective way. Lead gen is, marketing and sales work together in a good way. If you are sending leads that are old, or very commonly what happens is like you basically generate loads out of hours. Those are sent, routinely to clients and like a certain like set periods, or like they're sent all at once. So like the sales team come in and they start working through this calling queue from the bottom all the way up. Very common because we want to, you want to minimize this, so you start from the bottom. However, what this means is all the leads that come in during the day, what often happens as they are not work, they are still working through the back catalog. So instead, they are now working. So it means they always. So then, like the following day, it builds up. So they get more and more and more and more old leads that are, banking up. Where like
Mm,
there's no
mm,
chance for this contact center to catch up to them because of the way they're being distributed. So like your lead distribution strategy is really really important. Like, are you
yeah.
are you overwhelming them? Can we slow this down? Are there ways to manage this? That will be as important to your lead quality as all the other changes we're going to talk about. Like, really, it really, really matters. You do
Yeah.
need to generate leads outside of business hours. It's really important. Like, marketing works best when you just like let it do its thing. However,
Mm,
the way you manage this and send it to clients is also really, really important. So, yeah. So that whole thing, like before we start making changes, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have
mhm.
to look into those 3 areas. So first, validate it. Is it happening? Do we have data? Secondly, is it, has speed to lead been dropping? Like, is there a sales process? Is there things? Can we get that data basically broken down by contact person? Like that's a good way of like finding this, to be honest. It's a bit of a,
Yeah.
yeah, but it is necessary. And then step three is like, is it lead distribution? It often is lead distribution. And again, it's often just overlooked. So just be clear, before we're doing these things, just check. Easy.
Mhm. Yep.
And then you just need to pick out what's the strategy to do. So again, but there's
Depends, of
three major
course, what the
approaches
issue
here.
is. Yeah.
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 Now, once you like assuming that we've gone through these, it's happening. It's not sales. It's not lead distribution. What do we do?
Yeah.
You got marketing changes, form changes, process driven changes. Process driven will take like the longest tail ones. So like it's unlikely that's going to immediately solve your problem here. Instead, you're probably going to need a mixture of marketing and form. So um, yeah, then essentially now, rather than going to like what's the optimal strategy, we're going to maybe dive into like the hammers. So like, now we're in this situation and we need to, with this client's going to churn, scenario has evolved. We've taken, a couple of weeks to dig into all of this and validate this and whatever clients concerned. We want to keep them. What do we do? What are the hammers? What are the quick fixes? Yeah, maybe just I mean, there's
I
two
mean,
big hammers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, like, if we're doing a phone call, we're mentioning the phone call. We've got to hyperform. Like, we're really getting
Mm,
into kind of just like straight off the bat, this lead quality is gonna go up. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have huge changes on many sides and a bit of a drop off, but this is one of the things. I mean, we implemented that recently. to help,
Yeah.
this is something that you do.
This is one big hammer, and it's very effective, and
Thor's
it's
hammer.
actually one of yeah.
I don't know its name though. I can't think of what I was gonna say it, but I
Mjolnir,
don't.
Mjolnir.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was gonna say
Such a
Mithrandir,
nerd.
but that's Gandalf's name in Lord of the Rings.
Look at us, little nerd off is brilliant.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so any mention of the phone call on the form will dramatically drops conversion rate, but also dramatically improve lead quality. A couple ways you
Mhm.
can do this. You can ask it as a question later on in the funnel, which is basically something like called
That's a bit
hyperform. It's
softer.
just like
Well,
it's an
well,
interest.
it
Yeah,
depends.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it depends.
It's well, yeah. It's I think the most sustainable way, and it can be done. It can be done sustainably. So I would
There's a
recommend it.
lot of language fun that you can have with it to kind of like depending on how you ask that question really, is also gonna depend on how dramatic that drop off rate is and how comfortable people feel and all those sorts of things. Like
Mm,
you really need to be using language that obviously kind of matches brand and tone and everything like that, but you also need to think about sort of how ominous or friendly or there's a whole range of things that you can elicit from asking that question that need to be taken into account. It's
yeah,
amazing that the results you can see changing that language.
yeah. One thing, when we talk about this, there's like a couple approaches you can do when it's mentioning phone call. You can literally have it when visible when they land. You can
Yeah,
be like subheader, you got your
yeah,
core
straight off
normal
the bat.
headline, like compare things, like get a phone call from a local expert. As soon as you do that, people know what they're getting into. It can be a really high bounce. Basically, it will hunt right at the top as well. So you're impacting the most people. It's like asking for a phone number, immediate at the beginning. You're going to put up the most people, and it is going to be quite a high friction event. And there are probably better ways of doing it, but it is effective. You can't that is one useful hammer. The other kind of phone call hammer is as you were describing, which is asking it as a question after, and this is why it works. But you have it after your loader, after your core questions, after they've already put in all those pennies. Like we've talked about this many times,
Yeah,
in for penny, in for pound. You get them through, you get them committing bits of information to you, and then you say that, oh, great, we can help you. However, this will require a call with an expert. Would you like to continue? Yes, no.
yeah,
That's quite a strict. That's quite a hard hyperform. That's like a top
yeah.
end of you know, we can help you, but
Aggressive.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's an aggressive hyperform.
Yeah.
However, this is something that can, be really effective. And if you've built up that trust and that credibility and you made the value really tangible and they're like, yeah, I'm getting something personalized, tangible, like, great, okay. It's not what I originally wanted, because they probably didn't want this initially or like didn't realize this is what's going to happen. Um,
Yeah.
then, yeah, but yeah, it can really work and it can be a good way. Generally speaking, you're looking at like some ballpark figures that we're talking about here. You're looking for, that can generally improve conversion rate by 30% on its, I'm sorry, sale rate, so lead to sale rate or lead to opportunity rate by a solid 30-40%. Like that alone,
Mhm.
big old hammer.
Huge.
That really, it can
Massive.
move the needle
Yeah.
massive. It will
Yep.
also drop conversion rate, depending how well you've done it, by up to that amount of the opportunity rate. So really, it's like kind of filtering out those leads in a way. If you do
Yeah.
it well, you can definitely make this a positive equation where where you're getting more, opportunity rate improvement than you are for conversion rate drop. And again, when we talk about this metric, cost per opportunity, that metric is going to change. So like if you've traded it effectively, your cost per opportunity, lower is better, will go down. If you traded it poorly, the cost per opportunity will go up. So like your lead cost has gone up more than your opportunity rate has improved. Um, so yeah, it's about how you do set up that question. It being quite difficult. I will show you an example of like a more hard one. But yeah, generally speaking, this is a bit of a temporary measure. And we would always recommend later on you at least test without it and try to make it without it or blend it. Have a high perform question, high perform form, and a non high perform form.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to introduce the third and final massive hammer? Like these, again, you
Yeah.
can implement these like, you know, bam. I mean,
Yeah.
this one's actually quite
Yeah.
harder, a bit harder to implement this third
Yeah,
hammer.
this one's
But
a little bit fiddly, but it is, I mean, it's one-time password. We're looking at an OTP, so we're getting people really to just make sure they are real, they are, giving us their
Yeah,
numbers and those sorts of things. This is taking steps on their side. Like, this is a commitment already, you know?
yeah, yeah. I guess there's a few things to talk about because like it is like the ultimate in for a penny in for a pound because you've taken all their details. Now you're like, now we're going to need you to do more. Now we need to validate
Yeah,
everything. Like,
yeah.
and it is good because it makes sure like this is definitely a real phone number and this person is motivated enough um, as well. I must say this is my least favorite hammer. And funnels that rely on this long term are
Mm,
unlikely to be fully competitive. You can achieve these same things through more nuanced approaches. Like OTP, like that's a sledgehammer. Like that's I
yeah.
would not be doing that. I would be like first, we're doing high perform. Second, we're adding the subheader on the page when it loads to mention the phone call. Third, we're adding OTP. And like, if you've got incredibly cheap, high volume leads, and you can you can find really, really cheap leads, and there's places you can get them leads. And if you can put
Yeah,
them through all of that transformation process, that form driven transformation, like my God, you're getting good leads out of that
yeah,
from traffic
yeah,
that no one else wants. Like the nicest possible, like that traffic no one else wants because like that transformation process is so in depth. Um, Again, we're generally not, OTP is like, I mean, that's more than a break glass in the case of emergency. That's like you've broken, that's like, I'm sure there's a Simpsons episode where they go through multiple volts to get to the thing. There's
When Bart, like, shakes, Homer's beer can for, April
yeah.
Fools, and he takes it to the paint can shaker, and then he gives him the beer, and it's already, like, before it yeah. It's sort of like that aggressively, like, big and huge of a decision to make and then also to kind of, like,
Mm.
do, for sure.
Yeah. There was a couple notes I will mention regarding OTP where it works better because this is particularly from the lens of lead gen. And, OTP is really, really, when you're looking at SaaS and sign up products, yeah, absolutely. You do email validation as well, phone number validation. OTP is totally reasonable. It's being used much more nowadays. Like back in the day, OTP was like, oh my God, people need to do, oh, what, nowadays it's much more reasonable. Like, and it's
Yeah.
increasing like the adoption. People don't hate it as much. So it is becoming an increasingly valid part of the thing. For me, it still remains with my third and final option, like third and final hammer
Yeah.
option. Where like, it definitely can, like, it has a place and it is worth considering. You can
Yeah, I was
test it,
gonna
do the
say,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, I suppose it depends also on what kind of what you're selling or, like, what you're generating leads for
Mm,
potentially. Like,
yeah.
you can see sort of some things where it fits better than others and whatever else,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
yeah, it really depends, and, yeah,
Like if you're
it's a
sending
big hammer.
Yeah, if you're sending these leads for really serious money, or no, or if like you have a very very limited sales team, lead quality is everything. And there are absolutely cases where lead quality is everything.
Mhm,
In those
100%.
cases, yeah, OTP absolutely valid, absolutely necessary, great solution. That is a very rare scenario in my experience. But yeah, it's yeah. So again, these just for quick summary, these are the hammers. These are the quick fixes when you have validated. Please validate that like there's something that's going wrong with lead quality and we need to immediately improve it. So mention the phone call on the landing page, add a question that tells them they're going to be contacted by an expert over the phone. Do they want to continue? Yes, no. And third, OTP after they've given you a after you've given you the phone number. Yeah, stack all three when you really want to drive up your lead cost. Um, yeah,
All the hammers, all of them all at once.
yeah.
I mean, whew, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's already been 40 minutes, so this is why we're doing four parts. Because like we haven't even got into the proper process, into the major approaches, which are like exist outside of this. Like this is what you do, in emergencies, not like as part of your
Exactly.
BAU. God,
Yes.
but yeah, shall we show a quick example of a couple quick examples where we've
Yes,
got that?
definitely. I think
Yeah,
visuals always help just to understand, just to see what's going
yeah.
on.
I
So
think
let's do it. Let's dive. Think, just kind of give context.
yeah. No, exactly, and there's definitely like multiple methods to this one. So in this case, we're just going to show you one where on the phone question, they make it explicit they're going to get a phone call. This is what I would say like the softest, one of the softest approaches to high perform. Um, that I'm that is used, but it's often you do see it a little bit more because it is less destructive. Like asking it directly as a question can be really quite destructive, and so adding just like soft qualifiers can be important. Again, you can add it right at the start. That impacts the largest amount. It's kind of the worst trade. Instead, if you the further along the question you ask it, the better, because at that point, people are more into it, so then more you're gradually priming them. So I've just pulled up a quick example here. And again, it shows like just how simple that this can be, which I kind of love. Cool. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Stunning. So if I just go back one step, cool. You come to here, and it says your phone number, and then yeah, this is the final step. I like the CTA as well. Change your life. And yeah, it's very aspirational. I do like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says here all consultations are free and can only be arranged over the phone. Please enter a valid phone number for a quick and easy call. This is all you need. Like this is you're just
Yeah,
telling
this is
people
a
they're gonna
nice
get.
one. This feels very like this feels
Mm,
quite
this is
soft and
soft and
sweet, doesn't
easy.
it?
Yeah, exactly.
This is not
It's
as
definitely
abrasive as a question you asked previously.
yeah, like being
Do
like
you want to continue?
do you
Whoa,
want to continue? It's quite
do
threatening.
I? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Now that
Maybe.
you've asked that question, I'm not
Yeah,
entirely sure.
yeah. Um, Yeah, so that's yeah, but basically this is one way. Another way, you could if I go right actually, I'll just refresh that page. You could have it as a subheader, get not free consultation because they're already talking about those ones. You can be like get a phone call from a local expert. Like if I wanted to add lots of friction, that's what I would do here. If I needed to do, that would be probably the most extreme approach. You can also do it as a subheader. Or, after you go through this form, you've entered your information. Yeah, why not? After the loader here, then add a question being like, yeah, you will need to have a phone call. Do you wish to continue? Instead, what they've done here is just like they've gradually warmed it up. So it's like a very reasonable request. Which again, is
I think so.
this is
Yeah.
so yeah, it's all roads lead to Rome and all that jazz. Yeah, info penny, info pound remains a core guiding principle of CRO.
Hmm. We'd love to see
Yeah,
it.
cool. Well, I think we're 45
Amazing.
minutes in for part one of this marathon series.
Yeah, I think
I
we're
think
at
we're good.
time. But it was so good. I'm so excited for this kind of series. I think it's gonna be really interesting. And if anyone is still here, please comment the void.
The
And then if
void.
anyone is still here and still has any kind of like ideas of what they would like to hear, what they would be interesting to sort of incorporate into this, 4 sessions. We can even, lengthen it to 5, depending on what you ask for. Please do reach out. We are more than happy to include anything that you would like to sort of hear or have a deep dive on.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, as always, thank you so much, folks, and we will
Thank you
catch you
very
in the next
much.
one.
Talk to you then. Bye bye.